everyone on what is a very murky Friday outside. It's really a bit gross and we're not too keen on the weather today, are we, Niles? No. So what my video is going to be about today is about this little boy here and his sister Daphne. I'm going to do a cat video. So this is stemming from the fact that last week I watched Zoella's video on getting a puppy, and so I wanted to do one. I wanted to do one about getting a kitten or a cat. So I'm going to take you through some points that I have come up with, which are some little bits of advice and tips on if you're thinking or already have a cat or a kitten. So my first point is deciding on if you want a kitten or a cat, and then what breed you want. Because obviously some people want to adopt, that's the better situation for some people. I personally can't wait until I'm about 50 plus and then I just adopt every single cat that I ever see. That's my plan, hence why I don't feel guilty about getting kittens now. In fact, if you didn't watch my video last week about plans, that is my plan. If you've decided that you want a kitten, then decide what breed you want. Get a kitten magazine from Smith's. I got one myself. It tells you all about different breeds, what they're good with, what they work with, because obviously some breeds work with kids, others don't work so well with kids. Don't know what that means. Don't know if that means that the cat literally eats your children. But oh wow! I decided that I wanted a Bengal because they're beautiful. And also they're really fun and quirky. Little bit, oh come here. Oh come here. Oh, hello baby. A little bit different, a little bit feisty. This one is very feisty. The next thing you need to do is find a breeder for the type of breed that you've chosen. So I literally went on Google, typed in Bengal cats, and there was a Bengal cat website that came up. I think it's literally something like bengalcats.org.uk. And it's kind of the home of Bengals. So there will be one for most breeds, I imagine. I then found a breeder that was quite close to me. I found a few actually, and I emailed them all, and only 2 of them came back to me, and then one of those ladies actually said, can you give me a ring and we'll talk about it. So I went with her, I rang her, and she invited me to meet her cats and her kittens. So I saw where they were living, I saw the environment they were kept in, that she was just really helpful. There was no question that I couldn't ask her, and she just let me cuddle all of her cats, and that was basically, I was sold by that moment, to be honest. I came home and I reserved 2 kittens with her, and then she was just fantastic. She literally talked me through everything. It was like she was a midwife and I was giving birth. My next point is, once you've chosen your breeder and you've decided on the kittens that you're going to get, once they're born, visit them as much as possible. This is actually one of the things that will tell you if your breeder is not the right breeder to go with, if they say, no sorry, no visits. Because you should be allowed to see your kitten. My breeder happened to be very lenient and just said, as soon as you want to come and see. So I literally saw Niles, who is now eating the potpourri. Stop it! I saw him the day after he was born and he was literally this big. It gives you that chance to bond with them as soon as you can, which is a really good point. So that is another point that I'm saying to you now, as it is. My next point is, when that amazing day arrives and you can bring your kitten home, don't overwhelm the kitten, because it's already going to a completely new environment without its brothers and sisters. It's on its own for the first time, and it's going to be so exciting for it. My breeder suggested as soon as you bring them home, put them in their litter box, because then they will always know that that's where their litter box is. So literally got him out of the cat basket, into the litter box, and he had a little wee. I'm saying he because I brought him home a month earlier than her, because he's older and wiser. No, not really wiser at all. Definitely not wiser. And I've never had an issue with him since. They've both done the same. They've both always been in the litter box and it's been great. But then introduce them to a room at a time. So I started him in the kitchen and he had a good sniff and a little bit of a run around. And then he kind of went from room to room, which is good because then they're not completely dropped in the middle of a house and then just kind of the world is their oyster. They get to know it slowly. So this is also then what I did to Daphne, but it was slightly different for her because of course when she arrived home, Niles was already here. So she actually just sat under the sofa for about 4 hours and hissed at him. This brings me on to my next point, which is deciding whether or not to get 1 or 2 cats. Maybe this point should have come earlier, but I always wanted 2 because as much as cats are very independent creatures, they can do fine on their own and they don't necessarily always like company. I want to give them the choice of either having company or not, because it makes me feel less guilty when you're out in the daytime. Your cats can play with each other and keep each other entertained, and they do play fight a lot. So don't worry about that when you bring them home. I was literally texting Daphne's breeder every 5 minutes saying, they're fighting, they're not gonna like each other, and she just kept me calm and said, look, give them 48 hours, they'll be fine. So decide whether or not you're going to want one or two, because it's a very important point. Either is fine, as long as you love them both equally. Remember to register your cat with a vet ASAP, because should something happen, then they've already got all of the details there and you can take your cat in and it's fine. And also it's really good to get your kitten introduced to the vet quite quickly. They will already have They will already have been with the breeders already to get their first initial jabs, but then you'll need to take them to get spayed or neutered, and also just a few extra jabs that were needed. So register with a vet. Yes, do that. So I'm also now going to take you on a little bit of a tour of the things that I have for the cats, because I am massively impressed with the things that I bought. Not impressed with myself, impressed with the companies that did them, because there are so many things if you go on any website for pets, and so it was kind of trial and error as to what was going to work and what wasn't, so I went on recommendations and things like that, so I'm also going to recommend them to you. But the one thing I will say, don't spend money on loads of toys for cats. Literally, I did that. I was really silly. I bought loads of special toys for them, but they really don't care. Daphne's favourite thing in the world is conkers. And it's because I put them in the corner of my house to keep the spiders away, and then what does she do? She goes and takes them all out the corners so the spiders come in, but she's got conkers to play with. And Niles will just play with anything that he sees on the floor. So literally anything you leave anywhere, it will be gone. But one of the things that I will suggest is, I made this for my cat that I had when I lived with my parents. It's a little piece of material on a little stick, and it just, oh, it's very fluffy. And it's like a ribbon in gymnastics. But they love it, they really like that. And then their favourite thing in the world is this, which was originally actually for my dog Woody. And my mum brought it for me when they arrived. And this is great because when they're anywhere that I don't want them to be... Oh, it's not making the noise. Ah, it's working. Whenever they're somewhere I don't want them to be, I wiggle this and they literally come running. So it's great. Here he is! He's the boy! So just don't spend bags of money on toys. They'll find their own stuff. They'll find your stuff. They will find your stuff and they will steal it and take it as their own. So now let me take you on a little bit of a tour of what I've got for them. So this is one of the things that I didn't buy for the cats. It's a beanbag for human beings, but it is Daphne's favourite place to sit. So don't necessarily fork out loads of money on a cat bed, because your cat will just sit on your own stuff anyway. This is the cat bed that I went for eventually, because it's not too big, not too small. It's kind of, I don't know what that is, 2 foot off the ground. And it's got a nice little basket bit here for your cats to have a bit of a snuggle in, and then a higher bit there because cats do like to be high up. I've then put it next to my radiator because cats do love a bit of heat, and it's just a really good, sturdy make of cat bed. I actually got it from Amazon, but the brand is Nobby design, and I think it was about £60. And bearing in mind that cat beds can be so expensive, it was kind of midway in between, because it is sturdy. You don't want to just waste money on a cheap cat bed because it will fall apart, whereas instead they scratch the scratch post, they sit here and they love it. So definitely recommending Nobby from Amazon. So this is the make of litter box that I have for the cats, again being modelled by Niles here, and this is called a Mod Cat litter box. And it looks literally like a box, and even though it doesn't necessarily stop litter spilling, it is a really good box. So it comes with a little scoop, and then I'm not going to show you inside because it's just full of litter, but you just open up the box and it's a lot better than a tray. It just holds any potential smells in, and it's just a very good buy. This was from Pet Planet. I think you can get them from a few places. It was slightly expensive, but then I think it's worth it if you don't want smelly cat litter. And it just sits in the corner of a house, and there we have it. In here we have my cupboard of cat things. So I have their litter and I use Everclean Less Trail. I get this from Amazon. It's £15 for a big box like this, which lasts me for just over a month. So I tend to get 2 at a time and then they last me for a really long time. And then they also get fed with Royal Canin, and they get 3 different types of Royal Canin. Your breeder will tell you what food to give your cat, so just then stick with what they say, really. And I bought them a little cereal container to just mix it all up in, because they have 3 different types of food, and they then get that twice a day, in the evenings and then in the mornings as well. And of course cats love any little treats that you want to give them, like chicken or fish. So any fresh food that you are preparing and you want to give them a little bit of a treat, you've just been in the litter box. You've been in the litter box. Then they will always be much appreciative of that. So I'm going to end the video here. My main point above anything else, love them. Just give them so much attention, and especially as a kitten. Yeah, Bubba. Because if you squish them and you mollycoddle them, and I don't mean squish, I mean like hug, gently hug, not squish. I take that back. They will then be the most lovable creatures, because the worst thing is having a cat that you can't touch because your hand will get bitten off. I'm gonna go off and give this little guy a little bit of love, give him a bit of a brush, because he's literally molting all over the room right now. I've just inhaled so much of his hair. Have a fantastic week, have a fantastic weekend. And again, from Niles and Daphne, but she's, you know, currently eating a conker, we say goodbye to you. Bye.